Maya was an ordinary girl living a quiet life in a small town. She loved simple things, reading books, helping her mother in the kitchen, and spending time with her older sister, Nina. Nina was everything Maya looked up to. She was confident, kind, and had a bright future ahead of her. Nina was engaged to a successful man named Samir, who came from a rich family in the city. Everyone believed they would have a happy life together. One sunny afternoon, everything changed. Maya was sitting in the living room when her father came home looking very serious. Usually, he smiled and greeted everyone warmly, but today, his face was pale, and his eyes were filled with worry. "Maya," he said slowly, "Nina had an accident. She is in the hospital, and she is in a coma." Maya's heart stopped. "A coma? What does that mean?" she asked, her voice shaking. Her mother took her hand and explained softly, "It means Nina is unconscious. She cannot hear us or respond. The doctors are doing everything they can." Maya felt a wave of fear and sadness wash over her. She wanted to go to the hospital, to see her sister, but something else was waiting for her at home, something she was not ready for. The next day, Maya's parents sat her down in the living room. Their faces were serious and tired. "Maya," her mother began, "we need to talk about something very important. Nina's accident has changed everything. We don't know what will happen, but we have to think about the future." Maya listened carefully, confused and worried. Her father continued, "Samir is very rich, and he loves Nina. But now, with Nina in a coma, there are problems with the family and the money. If something happens to Nina, everything could be lost." Maya looked down, not fully understanding. Her mother said softly, "We think it is best if you marry Samir. It will protect Nina's property and keep the family together." Maya felt as if the room was spinning. "What? Me? Marry Samir? But he is Nina's fiancé. And Nina is still alive, even if she is in a coma." Her father sighed deeply. "Maya, we don't want to hurt you. But this is not just about us. It is about our family, our name, and Nina's future. We need to do what is right." Maya felt tears welling in her eyes. She loved her family, but this felt wrong. How could she marry a man who loved her sister? And while Nina was unconscious, unable to even speak. Samir had only visited the house once or twice since the accident. Maya barely knew him. She remembered him as quiet, polite, and distant. She wondered how he would feel about this strange idea. That evening, Maya went to her room and sat by the window. The sky was darkening, and the stars began to shine faintly. She thought about Nina lying in that hospital bed, unable to open her eyes. She thought about Samir, who must be feeling lost too. And she thought about herself. What was she supposed to do now? The next day, Maya met Samir at the hospital. He looked tired and sad, his eyes filled with pain. They did not say much. He only said, "I don't want to lose her." Maya nodded silently. She wanted to help, but she did not know how. Days passed, and the pressure from her parents grew stronger. They reminded her again and again about the responsibility she had to the family. Maya felt trapped, like a bird in a cage. She wanted to do what was right, but her heart was heavy. One night, Maya had a dream. She saw Nina waking up, smiling at her, and saying, "Maya, be strong. Do what you feel is right." Maya woke up with tears on her cheeks. She realized that no matter what happened, she had to be brave. But how? The story had only just begun, and Maya's journey was going to be difficult. She did not know what the future held, but one thing was clear: her life was about to change forever. The days after the accident were some of the hardest Maya had ever faced. Every morning, she woke up hoping for good news about her sister, but the doctors only said that Nina was still in a coma. The hospital room where Nina lay was cold and quiet, except for the beeping machines that kept time with her slow, steady breathing. Maya visited the hospital every day, sitting beside her sister's bed, holding her hand gently. She talked to Nina, hoping her voice would reach through the silence and darkness. "Please wake up, Nina. We all need you," Maya whispered one afternoon, tears running down her cheeks. But Nina did not move. The silence remained. At home, the situation was no easier. Maya's parents were tired and worried, their faces lined with stress. They spoke quietly in the kitchen, but Maya could hear the words that hurt the most: about money, about family honor, and about Samir. One evening, Maya's father sat beside her in the living room. "Maya," he said gently, "we understand this is hard for you. But we want you to think carefully. Marrying Samir will keep Nina's place safe. It will help us all." Maya looked at him, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. "But how can you say that? Nina is still alive. She needs us, not this arrangement." Her mother came in, wiping tears from her eyes. "We know this is difficult. But in our world, family matters most. We have to protect Nina's future." Maya stayed silent. She wanted to argue but knew it would only make things worse. The weight of her family's expectations pressed down on her like a heavy stone. Samir visited the house more often now. Maya saw him in the garden once, sitting alone, staring at the sky. He looked lost, as if the accident had taken everything from him. One day, Maya found herself standing next to Samir in the hospital hallway. Their eyes met, and for a moment, there were no words, just shared pain and confusion. "I don't know what to do," Samir finally said, his voice soft. "I want Nina to wake up. I want things to be the same again." Maya nodded. "Me too." They stood there quietly, two strangers connected by a tragedy neither wanted to face. Back at home, the talks about marriage continued. Maya's parents began making plans that seemed impossible to Maya's heart. One afternoon, Maya's mother showed her a beautiful dress. "You will wear this when you meet Samir's family. We must prepare." Maya looked at the dress, feeling tears welling up again. "I don't know if I can do this." Her mother took her hands gently. "You are strong, Maya. You must try." Days passed, and Maya felt herself slipping into a world she did not recognize, a world where love, loyalty, and duty were tangled together in confusing ways. One night, Maya sat in her room, thinking about the promise she made to herself in the hospital that she would be strong, no matter what. She looked at a photo of Nina and Samir from happier times. Nina was smiling, full of life. Samir looked proud and happy. Maya whispered to herself, "I will do whatever it takes to protect my sister. But I will not lose myself." That night, she made a decision. She would meet Samir properly, talk to him about everything. Maybe together, they could find a way through this pain. The next day, Maya called Samir. They agreed to meet at a quiet cafe near the hospital. When Maya arrived, Samir was already there, waiting. He stood up, nervous but polite. "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. Maya smiled softly. "I wanted to talk about everything." They sat down, and for the first time, They shared their fears and hopes honestly. "I don't want to marry you just because of duty," Maya said. "I want to understand you and what you want." Samir looked relieved. "I feel the same. I don't want to lose Nina, but I don't want to hurt you either." They talked for hours, sharing memories of Nina and dreams for the future. For a moment, the heavy weight of family expectations lifted, replaced by something fragile but real: hope. As they left the cafe, Maya felt a little lighter. The road ahead was still hard, but she no longer felt alone. At the hospital, Nina's hand was still cold and still, but Maya whispered with new strength, "We will find a way, Nina. I promise." After their meeting at the cafe, Maya and Samir felt a small change inside their hearts. The heavy walls built by sadness and confusion had cracked a little, letting in some light. For the first time since the accident, they began to understand each other not just as strangers bound by a painful situation, but as two people who cared deeply for Nina and wanted to protect her. Over the next few days, they started spending more time together. At first, it was just brief conversations in the hospital corridor or quick messages to check on Nina's condition. But slowly, those small moments grew into something more meaningful. One afternoon, Maya found herself sitting with Samir in the hospital's garden. The sun was warm, and the soft sound of birds made the place feel peaceful, a sharp contrast to the cold, sterile rooms inside the hospital. Samir looked at Maya with tired eyes but a faint smile. "Thank you for being here. It means more than I can say." Maya smiled back. "We're in this together. Nina is our family." Samir nodded. "I sometimes feel guilty. I wasn't there when the accident happened. I keep thinking, what if I could have done something?" Maya reached out and gently squeezed his hand. "It's not your fault. None of us know why things happen. All we can do is be strong for Nina." For the first time since the accident, Maya felt a sense of calm. She realized she wasn't alone. Samir was someone who understood her pain, someone who was willing to share the burden. At home, however, things were not as peaceful. Maya's parents continued to pressure her about the marriage. They reminded her daily that it was the best way to protect the family's future and honor Nina's wishes. Maya tried to explain her feelings to them, but they only shook their heads. "We are not forcing you, Maya," her father said one evening. "But this is what must be done. Samir is a good man, and this marriage will keep our family strong." Maya's mother added softly, "We want what is best for everyone." Maya wanted to believe them, but inside, she felt torn. How could she marry a man who was engaged to her sister, especially when her sister was still fighting for her life? One night, unable to sleep, Maya went to Nina's room. She sat by the bed, holding her sister's hand and speaking softly. "Nina, please come back to us. We need you. I don't know what to do without you." Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. She wanted to be strong. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Samir, "I'm here if you want to talk." Maya smiled faintly and replied, "Thank you. I will call you." They talked for hours that night, sharing their fears and hopes in whispers. Samir told Maya about his childhood, his dreams, and how much Nina meant to him. Maya shared her worries, her love for her sister, and her fear of losing everything. Their conversations became a comfort, a small light in the darkness. One weekend, Samir invited Maya to visit his home. Maya was nervous but agreed. She wanted to see where Nina had planned her life, and maybe find a piece of the sister she missed so much. Samir's house was big and beautiful, filled with pictures of Nina smiling and happy. Maya felt tears come again, but this time, they were mixed with a strange feeling hope. They walked through the garden together, talking about their plans and fears. "I don't want this marriage to be about duty or money," Maya said honestly. "I want it to be about us, what we choose." Samir looked at her with warmth. "I want the same. But we must be patient. Nina's health is the most important." Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the impossible began to feel possible. Maya and Samir were no longer strangers trapped by circumstance. They were becoming friends who cared for each other and for Nina. But even as they grew closer, Maya never forgot the promise she made to stay strong for her sister, to fight for what was right, and to protect the family she loved. One evening, as Maya left the hospital, she saw her parents waiting outside. Their faces were serious. "We have news," her mother said quietly. "You need to come home." Maya's heart skipped. What could this be? Hope? Fear? She followed them, her mind racing with questions. When they reached the house, her father sat her down and spoke slowly. "The doctors have told us Nina is showing signs of improvement. She might wake up soon." Maya's breath caught. "Really?" Her mother nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "We must be ready. Things will change." Maya smiled through her tears. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope shining bright. But with hope came new challenges. How would her family handle Nina's return? What would happen to Samir? And what would Maya's heart choose when the time came? The story was far from over, but Maya knew one thing for sure: she was not alone anymore. The days that followed brought a mixture of nervous excitement and cautious hope to Maya's family. Nina's condition had been the darkest shadow over their lives, but now, the doctors said there was a chance she might wake up. It felt like a small light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. Maya could hardly sleep. Each night, she sat by her sister's bedside, watching Nina's peaceful face, hoping she would open her eyes, even just for a moment. The beeping machine sounded the same, steady and calm, but Maya's heart raced with every breath Nina took. Samir came to the hospital more often now, sometimes sitting quietly beside Maya, sometimes alone, lost in his thoughts. They both waited, hoping and praying for a miracle. One afternoon, as Maya sat holding Nina's hand, the nurse came in with a gentle smile. "She moved," the nurse said softly. "Her finger just twitched." Maya's heart leapt. She looked at Samir, who had tears in his eyes. "This is good," he whispered. The family began to gather strength from this small sign. They hoped, finally, that Nina might return to them. At home, the atmosphere changed too. The constant pressure on Maya to marry Samir lessened a little, replaced by nervous anticipation. But the unspoken question remained: what would happen when Nina woke up? One evening, Maya's mother called her into the living room. "We need to prepare," she said. "If Nina wakes up, we must be ready to support her, to help her recover." Maya nodded, though her mind was filled with more questions than answers. What would Nina say about the marriage? Would she understand what had happened? Would she forgive them? Maya felt a deep ache in her heart. She wanted to protect her sister, but she didn't know how. A few days later, Maya and Samir were at the hospital when Nina's eyes finally fluttered open. It was a moment they had all been waiting for, yet when it came, it was quiet and fragile. Nina looked around slowly, confused but alive. Maya squeezed her hand gently. "Nina, it's me. We're here." Tears streamed down Maya's face as Nina's lips moved weakly. She tried to speak, but the words were soft and unclear. Samir stood by, his eyes filled with hope and fear. The doctors said Nina was still weak and would need time to heal. Her memory might be slow to return, but this was a start. The family stayed by her side, offering love and support. At home, Maya found herself torn between happiness and uncertainty. Nina was waking up, but what about the promises made in the dark days? What about Samir? One afternoon, Maya sat with Nina in her room. Nina looked tired but smiled faintly when she saw her sister. Maya, Nina whispered, "Thank you for being here." Maya's heart melted. "I'm here, Nina. Always." Nina's recovery was slow but steady. She remembered little at first, but with each day, her strength and awareness grew. Samir was by her side through it all, patient and caring. One evening, as Maya watched them together, she realized something important. Maybe this strange journey was not just about duty or family. Maybe it was about love in its many forms. But Maya still had to face her parents. They wanted her to marry Samir soon, before Nina fully recovered. They believed it was best for the family. Maya knew she had to be brave. She sat down with her parents one evening. "I love Nina, and I want what's best for her," Maya said gently. "But this marriage, it can't happen without her. We have to wait and let Nina decide." Her parents looked at her, surprised but silent. "It's not just about family or money," Maya continued. "It's about respect and love." Her father sighed, but there was a new softness in his eyes. "Maybe you're right, Maya. We will wait." Maya felt relief wash over her. She knew the road ahead would still be difficult, but at least now, she had a voice. As the weeks went by, Nina grew stronger. She smiled more, talked a little, and even laughed softly at times. Maya and Samir continued to support her, their friendship growing deeper. One afternoon, Nina took Maya's hand and said clearly, "Thank you for never giving up on me." Maya smiled through tears. "You're my sister. I will always be here." That night, as Maya lay in bed, she thought about the strange journey they had all been on. From pain and fear to hope and love, their story was far from over. But one thing was certain: no matter what happened, family was the most important thing in the world. And Maya knew she would do everything to protect it. With Nina slowly recovering, the house filled with a quiet hope that had been missing for many months. Maya felt a mix of happiness and nervousness. Seeing her sister open her eyes and smile again was like waking from a long nightmare. But Maya also knew the hard work was just beginning, not only for Nina but for all of them. Nina's memory was still unclear. She often forgot where she was or what had happened. Sometimes, she would ask questions that made Maya's heart ache. "Why did I go to the hospital? What happened to me?" Maya didn't have all the answers. She held Nina's hand gently and said, "You had an accident, but you are safe now. We're all here for you." Each day, Nina grew stronger. She took small walks around the house and began to speak more clearly. The doctors were hopeful she would fully recover, but warned that it would take time. Maya stayed by her sister's side, helping her relearn simple things and sharing stories from before the accident. It was difficult but rewarding. Samir also visited often. He helped with Nina's therapy and spoke kindly to her, always patient and encouraging. One afternoon, Maya and Samir sat together in the garden. The sun was warm, and the air smelled of flowers. They talked about the past months, the pain, the fear, and the hope that had kept them going. Maya, Samir said quietly, I'm grateful for your strength. Without you, I don't know what would have happened. Maya smiled softly. We both want the same thing, to see Nina well again. Their friendship had grown stronger, built on shared pain and care. But even as things seemed to improve, Maya could feel a tension growing inside her family. Her parents were still thinking about the future, the marriage they wanted for Maya and Samir. One evening, Maya overheard a conversation between her mother and father. She is strong enough now, her mother said. We should talk to Maya about the wedding soon. Her father nodded. It's time. This is best for everyone. Maya's heart sank. She wanted to protect her sister, but she also wanted her family to be happy. She didn't want to hurt anyone. That night, Maya sat alone, thinking deeply. She realized she had to be honest with herself, her family, and Samir. The next day, Maya invited Samir to meet her at the park. They walked slowly along the paths, surrounded by trees and the soft sound of birds. Maya, Samir said gently, what's on your mind? Maya took a deep breath. I want to be honest with you. I care about you, but I don't know if I'm ready to marry yet. Nina needs time, and so do we. Samir looked thoughtful. I feel the same. I want to do what's right for Nina, but I also want us to be happy. They talked about their feelings, their fears, and their hopes for the future. It was a difficult conversation, but it brought them closer. Back at home, Maya knew she had to face her parents again. She sat with them in the living room, her voice steady but kind. Mom, Dad, I understand why you want me to marry Samir, she said. But Nina is still healing. We should wait for her to feel better. I want this decision to be made together. Her parents looked at her quietly. After a long pause, her father spoke. We want what's best for all of you. Maybe we were thinking too much about the future and not enough about Nina's feelings. Her mother nodded. We will wait. We want you to be happy. Maya felt a wave of relief and gratitude. It was not easy, but the family was growing stronger. Meanwhile, Nina was slowly regaining more memories. One day, she asked Maya about Samir and the accident. Maya explained gently, careful not to overwhelm her. Nina listened quietly, then smiled. I want to meet him again, she said softly. Maya was surprised but happy. I'll arrange it, she promised. The day Nina met Samir again was filled with emotion. They talked slowly, carefully, sharing memories and feelings. Nina was still weak but determined. Samir looked at Maya and said, I want to support Nina and you, no matter what happens. Maya smiled, feeling hope for the future. As the weeks passed, the family began to heal in more ways than one. The love between Maya, Nina, and Samir grew deeper not because of duty or pressure, but because they cared for each other. Maya realized that life was unpredictable and sometimes hard, but with love and honesty, even the darkest times could bring light. Her journey was far from over, but she knew she was ready to face whatever came next with courage and an open heart. The house felt lighter these days. The weight of worry was slowly lifting, replaced by quiet moments of hope and laughter. Nina was improving every day, her smiles becoming more frequent, her steps steadier. Maya could see her sister's strength returning, and with it, a new sense of peace. Samir and Maya spent more time together now, not as strangers tied by obligation, but as friends who shared a common goal: the happiness and well-being of Nina and their families. One afternoon, after a gentle rain, Maya sat on the porch with Samir. The air smelled fresh, and the soft sound of dripping water made the world feel calm. "I never imagined we would be here like this," Maya said, looking out at the garden. Samir smiled softly. "Neither did I. But sometimes life surprises us." Maya nodded. "I feel like everything is changing, but I don't want to lose who I am." Samir reached out and gently took her hand. "You won't lose yourself, Maya. You are the strongest person I know." Maya felt warmth spread inside her. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to believe that happiness was possible. At the same time, her parents began to accept the changes too. They no longer pushed for the marriage. Instead, they focused on supporting Nina's recovery. One evening, Maya's mother spoke quietly. "We have seen how much you care for Nina and for Samir. We want you to choose your own path." Maya smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Mom. That means a lot." Nina was also growing more aware of the world around her. She asked many questions, eager to understand what had happened and what the future might hold. One day, she asked Maya, "What will happen to me now? Will things be the same?" Maya took her sister's hand. "We will be here for you, no matter what. We will make sure you are happy." Nina smiled weakly but with hope. As time passed, Maya and Samir's friendship deepened into something more. They shared stories, dreams, and fears. They laughed together and supported each other during the hard moments. One evening, Samir invited Maya to the small cafe where they first talked. "I want to be honest with you," Samir said, nervously. "I care about you, Maya. I don't want to rush anything, but I want to see where this can go." Maya felt her heart beat faster. "I care about you too, Samir. But we must be patient. Nina needs us." Samir nodded. "I understand. We will take it one step at a time." Their promise to each other was gentle but strong, built on respect and hope. Then came the day when Nina was well enough to leave the hospital. The family gathered at the front door to welcome her home. Maya watched as her sister stepped inside, supported by Samir and their parents. It was a moment of joy, but also a reminder that the future was still uncertain. Days turned into weeks, and Nina continued to regain her strength. She talked more about her dreams and the life she wanted. One afternoon, Maya and Nina sat in the garden, surrounded by blooming flowers. "Nina," Maya said softly, "I want you to be happy. Whatever you choose, I will support you." Nina looked at her sister with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Maya. You have been my strength." Their bond grew stronger, filled with love and understanding. As for Maya and Samir, their relationship blossomed naturally. They spent time together, learning about each other's worlds and hopes. One evening, under the soft glow of the moon, Samir asked Maya a question that took her breath away. "Maya, will you marry me? Not because of duty, but because we want to build a life together." Maya's heart swelled with joy. She looked into his eyes and smiled. "Yes, Samir. I want that too." The news brought happiness to the family. This time, the marriage was a choice made with love, not pressure. Nina was the first to hug Maya tightly. "I'm so happy for you," she said. Maya knew that the journey ahead would still have challenges, but now they faced it together with love, respect, and hope. The accident had changed their lives forever, but it had also taught them the true meaning of family. No matter what happened, they would always stand by each other. And that was the greatest gift of all. The day of Maya and Samir's wedding was bright and full of joy. After many months of pain, uncertainty, and hope, the family finally gathered to celebrate a new chapter in their lives. The sun shone warmly, as if the world itself was happy to see the healing that had taken place. Maya wore a simple white dress, her smile soft but radiant. Samir stood beside her, looking both nervous and happy. Their families were there, surrounded by friends, all sharing in the happiness of the moment. Nina was at Maya's side, stronger now and smiling with genuine joy. It was a beautiful scene, one that no one had dared to dream about during those dark days in the hospital. As the ceremony began, Maya thought about everything they had been through. The accident that had changed their lives. The long months of waiting and praying. The difficult choices and the growing friendship that had turned into love. She looked at Samir and felt grateful not just for him, but for the family they had become. After the ceremony, everyone gathered for a small celebration. There was laughter, music, and warm hugs. Maya's parents finally seemed at peace, seeing their daughters happy and safe. Later that evening, Maya and Samir sat quietly on the porch, watching the stars. "We made it," Maya whispered. Samir took her hand. Together. Their journey had not been easy, but it had brought them closer. They understood the importance of patience, trust, and kindness. The days that followed were filled with new beginnings. Nina continued to heal and grow stronger. She returned to school and reconnected with friends. The accident was still a part of her story, but it no longer defined her. Maya and Samir built their life together, supporting each other through every step. They shared dreams of the future of travel, family, and happiness. One afternoon, Maya found herself thinking about the past, the pain, the fear, and the love that had saved them all. She realized that sometimes life brings unexpected challenges, but also unexpected gifts. The accident had tested their family, but it had also brought them closer than ever before. Maya knew that the most important thing was love, the love between sisters, between friends, and between two people who choose to walk together through life. Months later, the family gathered again, this time to celebrate Nina's recovery. There was cake and music, and laughter filled the house. Nina stood in the middle, smiling at everyone. She spoke softly but clearly. "Thank you all for never giving up on me. I am lucky to have such a family." Tears filled Maya's eyes as she hugged her sister. Their journey had been long and hard, but it had led to something beautiful, a family stronger than ever. As the sun set that evening, Maya thought about the future with hope. No matter what came next, she knew they would face it together. And that was the greatest blessing of all.